Warning. This content includes graphic and violent stories which may be disturbing to some audiences. Ex-homeless Redditors, what was the scariest thing that you ever saw on the streets? Kids beating the crap out of a homeless man. Started with them spitting on him. He gets up and runs after them, then a couple of them hit him from behind with some IKEA-looking wood, you know, the one that snaps easy. He gets mad and they run off. He comes back to the bench and falls asleep again. 10 minutes later they're back and they just start beating the frickin' crap out of him. I had to jump in and stop them. Cold weather. I thought I was going to die one night. I was so cold. I remember waking up thinking you need to move or you are going to die. This was the scariest thing for me. I ended up sleeping in buses, burning sterno. It's like jellied rubbing alcohol that burns for a good while. I would try to constantly be walking cause if I stopped I'd probably fall asleep and die. I also sometimes rested under a bridge from time to time. One time I fell asleep under the bridge and I woke up finally feeling warm and cozy and thought it was nice to finally be able to rest. Then I realized that it's way too cold for this and I can't move without that frozen fingers pain everywhere. Struggled real hard to get my sterno out and could barely bend my fingers enough to light it. Like my hands were nearly useless. I'm really glad I woke up. Edit, thanks for the gold. Edit 2, all you guys telling me you're glad I woke up got me feeling all warm and fuzzy inside. I haven't felt this happy to be alive for a long time. Thank you. Lots of stabbings and rapes. I was stalked by a gang one night on my way home from work. I still have no idea how I wasn't raped or mugged. Once I woke up suddenly to a not homeless man holding a huge knife staring at me inside the abandoned building's basement I was sleeping in. Once he noticed I was awake he asked if I was Russian. I said no and he said he was looking for a different girl, gave me $20 and left. Let's see. Funny-ish, guy at the shelter I stayed at got stabbed in the ribs by another guy. The guy who stabbed him just walked inside and attempted to go to sleep, while the guy who's stabbed is sitting on a bench literally spurting blood out of his side and he lights a cigarette. When the staff called 911 and tried to help him he was pushing them off saying he was fine. Horrible. There was a gas station down the street, a guy paid for gas, took the hose and doused himself in gasoline. I was smoking outside and I remember him walking by outside the yard area with a lighter in his hand, arm fully extended out. He was very mentally ill so I didn't think anything of it. I couldn't smell gas or anything like that. I continued to smoke, light another one up. About 10 minutes later I'm inside bullshitting at the front desk and a dude runs in the front door and shouts, "Give me wet towels." A guy set himself on fire across the street. Homeless shelters aren't in good areas, so I just walked out casually thinking some idiot at the apartments across the street had set a rug on fire and the dude who ran in was just being a dumbass. I walk out the front door and sure enough, on one of the stairwells there's flames. My thought process was basically, yep, some dumb fucks lit a roo. Oh frick. The rug sat up. Me and 3 other guys ended up being the ones to put him out. He wouldn't though. I don't know if the gas had to burn off first, but probably? I don't really remember putting him out, I just remember after. I don't remember a smell or anything. The morbid thing I do remember is he was out and he just kept shouting, my balls are on fire. Put out my balls. He died 3 days later. I was told it wasn't the first time he'd done something like this. The shelter ended up sending me to therapy, and the woman was the best therapist I'd ever had. I still get weird sometimes and can't really watch people on fire in movies anymore. Not what I saw, what I heard, if that counts. For a while I slept in an empty warehouse. I'm in the UK, so it was a huge Victorian building with about 6 floors. I slept on the 3rd or 4th floor, out of the way of casual intruders. Drunks and prostitutes used that space, and one night I heard a load of shouting and a female screaming from the ground floor. Now I was 16, a junkie and about 120 pounds, so I wasn't in any position to do much, but I crept down the steps to see what was happening. By the time I got there, the place was empty and the noise had stopped, so I went back upstairs. I found out the next day they found a body in the wasteland outside. Turns out the woman was a prostitute. They assumed her client stabbed her after a struggle and she'd made a run for it before he caught her and finished the job. Always wonder if I'd been able to help, but I'd have probably got stabbed too. Snow. I'm a big, scary dude, so I never had trouble with people picking on me or whatever. In that sense the streets were safe to me. But seeing snow for the first time that year just made me cry and panic. It was too early for snow, I wasn't ready for the type of cold and was hoping to be on my feet again before the winter came. Beautiful thing like snow just fucked me up in so many ways. Biggest thing. 5'3" plus 115 pound, was how often people try to abduct you. That and how often people try to serve you tampered food. The teenagers trying to get clout by assaulting/pranking you is another one. When I was 17 I worked at a little pizzeria. Some nights we have leftover pizzas that were meant to sell by the slice. This particular night I had a full Supreme and I decided to bring it home instead of throwing it away. It was raining that night. While driving home I see a homeless person under an overpass and decide to give him this whole pizza. I pulled back around, explained to him that I work at a place and I wanted to give him this whole pizza. He refused to accept it and said that I'd probably baked cockroaches into it or something. I was pretty upset by this and it kinda ruined my desire to give for years, but you talking about people giving you tampered food made me feel like this guy had every reason to be suspicious of me. When I worked at a pizza place, named for a short emperor, we had a dumpster out back where we threw out the pizzas we hadn't sold at the end of the day. This was often 10 or so pizzas. The local homeless population knew to go diving for these pizzas and there were times we would see them waiting and just hand them over. Top management wanted us to pour bleach on the pizzas before putting them in the dumpster, but the manager refused to actually do it because he wasn't a crappy person. I left within a month of that directive. In my years being a homeless junkie and then cleaning up kinda and working at a homeless shelter/on the street, I saw a dude try to murder his girlfriend with a machete. Like full-on swing and barely miss, and my heart was pounding like I was sure I was about to witness a murder. I also saw countless odds and shit, saw a girl beaten to crap who had just been raped asking for help. Saw a dude get stabbed. Saw a big huge dude have a heart attack and die and the paramedics frantically trying to give him chest compressions and crap and he was just flopping around. Saw a lot of crap honestly, but those were the ones that come to mind as scaring the crap out of me the most. I have a million stories from those years and half sound fake cause they are so ridiculous. After a meal at a local shelter one night I fell asleep in a park. I hated being around there at night because some of the other homeless would rob you. One guy got knifed a week earlier and I needed to GTFO. So I started to make my way out of the area taking alleyways as not to attract the drunks who would throw crap at, beat up and generally harass the destitute. I heard a commotion and decided to investigate and saw this crazy animal of a man, naked from the waist down, on top of someone, I assume a woman, thrusting on top of her. Every couple of seconds he would stop to throw a punch. The woman was unconscious, completely limp and very bloody. I yelled out to him and he turned to look at me. I have seen a lot of bad things in my life, but the look in his eyes was beyond animalistic. He was filthy, but in the little light from the street lamps his eyes glowed with rage and insanity. Scared the crap out of me. So afraid that I took off. Ran to nearest payphone, 1993, and dialed 911. I did not go back. I have felt like such a coward and have no idea what happened to either one. I truly hope she's okay and he is dead. I was staying in a homeless shelter that had a men's side and a woman's side. Most of the men were convicted sex offenders. In the 8 months I spent in that hell on earth, I was friends with 3 women who were raped by some of these men. The truly scary thing? The women were actively discouraged from telling anyone what had happened, especially the police. If they filed a report with the police, they were permanently barred from the shelter. That place, one of the most celebrated in my state, regularly has the mayor and governor drop by, is the most evil place on earth.